Good morning, onions. Loyal onions. I think we get about as many views as we do the episode number, so we're hoping for at least 29 views on this video. I'm Nick. Ash is not with me because it's about 8 a.m. On Monday morning, Monday the 1st of August, pinch punch, first of the month and all that, just to be irritating. So I just want to do a quick video, very quick. It's probably going to be like 5 or 10 minutes because I'm actually going on holiday tomorrow for 2 weeks and it's going to be awesome. I'm sure I'm still going to be tinkering away with my team. So anything you see today, I'll probably still have a lot of changes to it before the deadline. But I just want to do a video just to let you know where I'm at currently with my drafts, to tell anybody in my mini leagues what I'm thinking so that they can copy my team or realize what I'm doing and go against it for the first game week and steal a march on me. Thinking of you, Chris. So yeah, just quickly. So episode 29, our league code is TRLU7M. Please do join our league. I think I grossly overestimated how many people were in our league on our last pod. I think I said about 15. Apparently it's about 9. So please do join our league. We will have some sort of prize. I don't know what that will be yet, but anybody who can beat me or Schlee will win that prize. It should be better than a curly whirly this season, which I still haven't bought for myself. So just getting into it, this is my draft as it stands. You will notice that there are only 2 premiums in this draft, Salah and Kane at the moment. Just for those listening on YouTube, we still need to sort out the podcast version of this. I keep promising Schlee that I'll do that. But for those listening, we've got Sarr in goal. I'll talk through these in a minute. So Sarr in goal, Trent, Alexander-Arnold, Perisic, Walker, James, Robertson. That's my 5 at the back in a 5-3-2. Then Salah captain, Martinelli and Saka in midfield. And then Kane vice captain and Jesus up front. And then the bench is Ward, who's the Leicester reserve keeper, Lavia, who is at Southampton. I can't remember whether he's on loan from City or whether they've signed him, but Lavia, and then Andreas Pereira, and then Archer from Villa. So just quickly talking through some of these choices and why I am where I am. So my 5 million goalkeeper is Sarr. I think if generally in most of my drafts I've been at 4.5, but I think if you can get to a 5 million goalkeeper, there are much better options there. I think Raya now isn't quite as good an option as I thought it was going to be because there is change in that Brentford defence and they haven't had an amazing pre-season, although he does still seem to be the nailed-on keeper there. I don't love their fixtures either, but I also don't love Sanchez's fixtures at Brighton. I think Sanchez is the slightly better defence and they are more solid, and Potter tends to start the season pretty well with his teams, but Sanchez's his first fixture is Man United. I think they've got another tough one in the opening 6 or 7. I think Sanchez and Raya's fixtures are pretty similar for the first 6 or 7 when I think I'm probably going to be wildcarding. But Sarr, Wolves fixtures are amazing, I think, at the start of the season. Obviously, they've lost Jimenez now, so I think that does have an effect on the whole team. But they have got a pretty good defence. They are quite defensively minded. Jimenez might make them more or less effective at the back. We don't necessarily know whether it'll mean that they have to change shape to accommodate the fact that he's out. But Sarr is an unbelievable goalkeeper, and I think the stats that Schlee shared last week on goalkeepers just show how good his kind of expected goals prevented is for the goalkeeper. So I think he is an upgrade definitely on those 4.5s. I think I prefer him over the other 5 million goalkeepers. Mendy, we don't really know what's going on with Chelsea yet. I think losing Rudiger will make them leakier at the back. I don't actually think Mendy is a brilliant shot stopper or a brilliant keeper either. Then obviously you've got Ramsdale at Arsenal. Again, I don't think he's great either. I think on Schlee's chart that he shared last week, he's pretty close to kind of the number of expected goals against to his XG. His expected goals prevented is pretty similar. So I don't think he's not pulling up trees in that Arsenal defence. Their defence was pretty poor at the end of last season. I think they've had a very good pre-season, but I just think Sarr will make some saves, and couple that with the fact that Wolves fixtures are really good. I really like him at 5 million. Trent is a lock in this team, as is Salah. They haven't other than kind of crazy experimental drafts, they haven't been out of a draft. I think again, he got the goal in the Community Shield, and I just think he's going to have a really good season. Trent. Perisic has come back into the drafts because He's got some more minutes now in pre-season. I think Conte's come out and said that he's bringing him back up to fitness, or he's not quite at full fitness. But you think Southampton's a pretty good game for him to do that, and then they've got the Chelsea game soon after. So I think Conte's going to want to get Perisic up to speed ASAP. Walker's an interesting one. He's 5 million. Obviously, Cancelo's not in this draft, and I think when I was speaking to Schley last week, I've been pretty set, or certainly after that, I've been pretty set on Trent, Cancelo and Robertson all in the defence, but I just don't think that's going to be possible without kind of weakening other areas of the team. Obviously, everything is a trade-off, isn't it? But I just like the route into the City defence for 5 million with Walker, and I think he's going to start the season. If you made me have this whole team for the whole season, Walker wouldn't be in it, but because I do think he's going to be certainly a rotation risk, if not actually fully lose his place at some point, particularly if they can bring in Cucurella or another wing back, which I think they're looking to bring in. Then I've got Reese James in here. I love Reese James. I think he's incredible. You've heard me talk about him a lot if you've been listening to us. If he plays right wing back, I think he is a lock in this team. There's still concern that they might be after another right wing back. And if that happens and they buy that, I think I would move away from James. But again, I think for game week 1 against Everton, who I don't think are a fantastic side, I can see James doing pretty well in that game. And we know what he can do in one-off games. They've obviously got Spurs second game, so I don't love that. But he's just so good at 6 million. Apparently Chilwell got some minutes, like 60 or so minutes in the latest friendly. He might be fit enough to start the season, but I don't think he's going to be on top form. Whereas James, we know what he can do, and I think he is fit to start the season. Robertson in this draft, I love Robertson. He did brilliantly for me last season when I brought him in on my wild card. I think in like game week 23, 24 or something when I played my early wild card. I think he's going to have another really good season. He obviously got an assist in the Community Shield. I can see a lot of clean sheets for Liverpool in those opening games, and I like doubling up on the defence. It is that, people are looking at kind of Robertson versus Diaz in midfield. Diaz is 8 million, whereas Robertson is 7. And so it feels like you're getting that extra million if you go Robertson over Diaz. But actually, if you don't have Robertson in a 5 at the back, you can have Nico Williams as a sub in a 4 at the back. And he's 4 million as opposed to, the cheapest midfielders or striker bench points you can get, which is 4.5. So you only really get 0.5. I just think even if they were the same price, maybe not if Robertson was 8, but maybe if Diaz was 7, I'd still probably be looking at Robertson over him because I just think he's more assured of starts. He obviously gets the clean sheet points. He's getting a lot of points if he gets a goal, and he got a few of those last season. He's getting 6 points for a goal. I just think Diaz, he's a fantastic player. I'm just not sure yet what a fantastic fantasy asset he is. He's not in the box as much. He plays much wider. On the left, he's much more of a classic winger than say Salah is as in the kind of inverted winger spot. He's a brilliant player and he's going to get returns. I just think that Robertson is a much more solid pick there for the 0.5 difference. I know it's 1 million, but as I discussed. So then in the midfield you've got Salah. As I say, he's a lock. Martinelli I think is fantastic value at 6 million. You'll see in this draft I've got the kind of triple up in the Arsenal attack. Arsenal have looked fantastic in pre-season, and again, I don't think, for example, that Arsenal are a better side than Chelsea necessarily, or certainly City, but you think how much better Arsenal's pre-season has been than these other teams. They got their transfers done early. Jesus has come in and hit the ground running and seems to be full of confidence. So it's not necessarily the Arsenal triple up that I'm too concerned about. I'm trying to pick each of these players on merit. So I think Martinelli is amazing value at 6 million. I think Saka is the best of the 8 millions currently. Again, just because of his pre-season and the fact that he's on penalties. There's a lot of talk about the fact that, at Arsenal, it's the person who wins the penalty is the one who gets to take it. But hopefully by having, I guess this is a bit of a double-edged sword, because by having the 3 Arsenal players in this team, I think those are the 3 Arsenal players who are going to take penalties. It might be that Jesus wins one and takes it, Martinelli wins one and takes it, Saka wins one and takes it. I think if, Gabriel wins a penalty, I think one of Martinelli, Saka or Jesus is going to take it. So I've got the coverage of the Arsenal penalty taker there. I guess the only negative is that in a team where, if that is the case, the person who wins it takes it, the sad thing there would be you're not going to get the assist points. So if Saka wins a penalty and Jesus takes it, you're going to get 7 points there plus bonus rather than just the just the 4 for Jesus taking the penalty. So that is, I think, the trade-off there. But I just think on their merits, you know, Jesus, everyone's been saying is ridiculously underpriced at 8 million. If he'd been 8.5 or 9, his ownership would have still been very, very high. I think it's over kind of 70% now. So the reason for this draft versus what you'll see on the next slide, and why I'm leaning towards this one rather than a Threemium draft, is because to get to Son and to have Son in this side for that opening Southampton fixture, which I love, I think Son is going to do very well there, but you're much more reliant on one player's points. It's that thing about, you know, if you've got a premium, you know, a Kane, a Salah, you should be looking to captain them sometimes. Otherwise, they're just not as good value. But I do think Son, if he could get a kind of 20-point haul in that first game. If he doesn't, though, if he just blanks, if Southampton do very well, all your kind of points are in that one basket. Whereas I think if, you know, if Arsenal do well, they might beat Palace 2-0, but it might, you know, somebody who's just got Jesus, it might be Martinelli and Saka that get the points in that game. So you're kind of spreading that around. And I think going Son down to Jesus or Son down to Saka is 4 million in your team. You know, if you look in my other draft, I've got Leon Bailey in there. He's 5 million. So it's kind of spending 3 million of that to get, say, Bailey up to Saka, but it gives me another 1 million to spend in the team. So it's very, very powerful to not have that Threemium draft, and you can see why people have moved away from it. It also allows me to have Sarr in goal instead of a 4.5. So I just think if we move to the next screen, you'll see this is the Threemium draft. So for those listening, it's got Henderson in goal as a 4.5. Just to explain that, I think I've had pretty much every goalkeeper in my draft so far. Again, I think they've priced the goalkeepers really well because it is very, very interesting trying to select one. But of the 4.5s, I'm kind of leaning towards Henderson now, just because I don't like drafts when I see Nico Williams playing, even though he's an attacking fullback. But I like the fact that Henderson is a fantastic shot-stopping keeper. You think of the points he was getting at Sheffield United when they were in the Premier League when he was on loan. I think he is a very, very, very good keeper. I think they will allow a lot of shots. The problem is I don't think there are many clean sheets there for him, but I do think he's going to get a lot of save points, and he'll obviously get the odd clean sheet here and there, just kind of by the law of averages. So I do like him, and obviously there are limitations with Raya and Sanchez, as I've discussed. I don't think either of them are as good a keeper as Henderson, so I'm kind of leaning towards him. There's also Ward on the bench. I didn't really talk about my bench much on the previous team, but there's a lot of talk of Leicester having kind of run out of cash. They're the only team apparently in Europe's top 6 leagues that still haven't made a single signing. There's talk of Schmeichel being sold to Nice. Ward is their only backup keeper. I expect them, if Schmeichel does leave, I expect them to sign another keeper actually, or bring a keeper in on loan. I don't know whether they want to rely on Ward as their number one, but it might be that he starts the season as number one. I guess the issue again with that is he's a 4 million keeper. He might have a starting fixture of Brentford at home. In fact, I may even sub him in for the first game if it really looks like he's going to start. The nice thing about keepers is you can kind of take a gamble on them because they tend not to come off the bench. So if I put Ward in and he doesn't start the first game, then Henderson would just come off the bench for him. But if you can get a 4 million starting keeper in a team, I don't think Leicester's defence is particularly good, but it's probably on par, certainly on par with Forest's defence at the start of the season. So yeah, I might well try and play Ward in that first game. So that's the thinking on the 4 million sub keeper. If you haven't seen Ward, he might be a good option. I guess the issue is if he isn't first choice, and a lot of people have put him in as a 4 million keeper, and then think to take him out, then he might drop in price, which is super annoying. So the Henderson in goal here versus Ward, and then at the back you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold. Again, he's a lock. Gabriel from Arsenal. He was actually kind of 5th or 6th on the defender charts last season, just behind Cash, although I think Arsenal are going to have a slightly better defence this season than they did last, although I guess Villa might as well. So Cash could be that alternative option at 5 million. Then I've got Walker and Perisic. I've already discussed those on the previous slide. And then you've got Salah captain, Martinelli, Bailey, who is the kind of come down from Saka, so saving the 3 million there. Son in this team, Jesus and Kane. So I do still really, really like this team. It's very, very strong. I think you can see the trade-offs on the right-hand side here. We've got, Sarr Sarr going out for Henderson, saving 0.5. Then you've got Reese James down to Gabriel of Arsenal, saving $1 million. You're losing Robertson and getting Nico Williams, so you're kind of losing that fifth very, very strong defender and going to a bench player. It's Saka over, or losing Saka for Bailey, and then losing the 4.5 and getting up to Son. So I think when you look down the right-hand side of the chart here, those trade-offs are pretty significant. And I think if you look at it, I mean, Son could absolutely smash it. I guess the time to do this is at the start of the season when Spurs have a good fixture. And my other thing that would make me potentially lean towards this draft is having the ability to change either Son or Kane or both for De Bruyne and Haaland for the City-Bournemouth game, which I really think could be quite powerful at the start of the season. And then City's games are just brilliant. So really it's kind of, you could go back to one of Son or Kane after that for one of Spurs' good fixtures. I think they have like Fulham at home in game week 6 or something. You kind of move one of them back if they haven't gone up in price too much, or if you found 0.5 elsewhere in your team, which I quite like the flexibility of. It's just looking at these trade-offs. So I think this is where I am. It's kind of between these two drafts. I'm leaning towards the kind of more balanced team rather than the Threemium draft, just because of these trade-offs. But I'm hearing that Gabriel he's very, very good in the air, obviously, and that's where he got his goals last season. He's an aerial threat from corners and free kicks. They've got, Arsenal have got Palace and Leicester first up. They're terrible at defending set pieces. So, maybe that isn't such a downgrade from Reese James. When Chelsea are unsettled, then he may well be playing right centre-back, and we just don't know on that. But equally, James could absolutely smash Gabriel. I do prefer Sarr over Henderson, obviously, for the reasons I've discussed. But really in this team, you're kind of trading. In fact, let me figure this out. I guess in a way, really, it's kind of, you can run kind of Robertson up against Son, or you can run Saka up against Son and kind of Robertson up against Bailey. But you're really comparing Robertson and Saka to Bailey and Son. They are your trade-offs. So who's going to score more points in the first 5 or 6 games? Is it Robertson? Is it Robertson and Saka, or is it Bailey and Son? So these are the trade-offs that we have. I think Bailey is a brilliant option who makes this draft potentially viable, because he has done very well in pre-season. Even in Villa's last friendly, he got another goal. So I think he looks very likely to start, but I do think he's one poor performance away from coming out of that team. And then on the bench here, we've got Nico Williams, Andreas Pereira, and Archer again. So I think Andreas Pereira is a potential who you could sub in for Bailey, but it's not the strongest. It's not the strongest sub. I think Bailey is probably the big trade-off of this team, because in the previous draft, you've got a midfield of Saka, Martinelli, and Salah, and you've obviously got that Robertson slot in defence. So I do really, really like both of these drafts, just to kind of bring the balanced one back up again. I don't know which way I'm going to go. We've got until Friday, so this is the final week, and we need to make decisions, and we need to lock these teams in. I think the exciting thing to do would be to go for the Threemium draft and to be able to make those City moves in game week 2. I just think that the head should rule, and I should go for a more balanced side and have that 8 million midfielder. But I do think that the Threemium is exciting. So hopefully that's been useful for you guys. You'll probably find them when I get back from holiday and can pod. You'll probably find I've gone with something completely different, because that is this game, and obviously we're still going to get quite a lot of information this week. There may be new signings. There may be we're going to get press conferences as well. I just think just try and start with a team that you're confident with on the first day of the season, in terms of confident that players are going to start. Even if teams make signings now, you just don't know whether they're actually going to bed in. I don't think that, if somebody signs a player, I don't think they're going to start game week 1. So you can kind of play around with that a bit and make sure you go with teams that have had good pre-seasons and players that have got a lot of minutes in pre-season. But if I don't see you guys before, if I haven't done some sort of random message from my phone or managed to join some stream with Schlee before the season kicks off, good luck to everybody. Again, our league code is TRLU7M. Please do join our league, and I look forward to competing with you this season. So all the best. Goodbye.